I got to say, I am the dumbest trainer on staff right now, and I fully mean that. And I love that. I opened up 15 credit cards, personal and business, with 0% interest for a year, maxed every single one out, equivalent over to $250,000, built the place out myself, and said I have a year to pay off every single one of these credit cards. I'll be out of business from the APR. If I were to give advice to business owners and don't do what I did, it's don't try to be cheap.
Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I am your host for the day, John Franklin, while my co-host, Mateo Lopez, is off releasing some interesting new features for the Kilo Gym Management software. But fear not, we're going to go on a journey because the show's not about Teo, it's not about me. This week, it is about Anthony Amen of Redefine Fitness out in New York. He is running what seems like a tight ship, and we're going to learn all about his business. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Good, John. Thank you so much for having me on today. Really excited to be here and start sharing about what we're doing. Hopefully help other gym owners be successful.
Yeah. Tell me how you got into owning a gym. Looks like you got a pretty interesting background story that's maybe driving some of your ambition here.
You want the 3-hour story or the 10-minute story?
No, I don't.
I'll give the short, sweet version. So I always contribute everything to when I was a kid. I was super bullied and picked on a lot, to the point that in 7th grade, I took a butcher knife and decided to end my life. And at that very moment, I obviously didn't do it. But I decided at that point in time, I couldn't be the same person I was. I couldn't be shy. I couldn't be introverted. I had to be somebody entirely else. And I had to change my persona because I can't continually live this life. So I put the knife away, laid in bed, kept my eyes open all night, and just told myself it's time to change. And I just started repeating the same word over and over and over again. You're outgoing, you're outgoing, you're outgoing. And over the course of a year, I just started saying more and more words, started meeting people, and ultimately overcame that depression altogether. Fast forward to when I was 20 years old, I was playing a sport in college called broomball, which is pretty much poor man's hockey for those that don't live upstate New York or went to school up there.
I've seen broom ball before, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So you're playing broom ball.
It's a great sport. I totally recommend. Don't take my story the wrong way. I played for years before this happened, but my friend rolled his ankle the night before, and it was playing against him, and I didn't want to step on his ankle, so I decided to try to step over him instead of bracing for a hit on the ice. And doing that was a giant mistake or benefit. I don't know, it depends how you look at it. He came and hit the back of my calf, threw me backwards. I fell so hard that both games being played stopped. It was a loud bang. I didn't black out. I was wearing a helmet, thank God. I was told I would have been dead if I wasn't wearing a helmet. I fell so hard. I went off the ice, as any typical 20-year-old would do, said, I'm okay, and then went back and finished playing the game. Yeah. Later that night, I go up in my dorm room. I'm talking with a couple of friends about recap, and that's the last thing I remember for 3 months. I was told that at that point, I started slurring my words. I was rushed to the hospital, ended up having a major concussion. I couldn't look at light for the next 3 months. I was super photosensitive. My neck, I couldn't move anymore. I couldn't move my right shoulder anymore. I herniated and bulged every single disc. I was getting nerve pain down my arm, and I felt useless. But I kind of knew, going back to the suicide story, that, if I can overcome that, I can overcome this. So I didn't tell my parents I got hurt. I stayed in school, which was probably a mistake, but whatever. And went home that summer when I was finally starting to be able to look at light again, because it was 3.5 months later. Eventually had to tell them what happened. Went to a bunch of different doctors, and every doctor told me the same thing. I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. The last doctor I saw told me he's a physician, not a magician. Please get out of my office. That's a true story. So I took my life into my own hands and started working out and fell in love like any other person does when they start working out, and really falling in love with it. Worked at every position, every gym in the local area. And that's pretty much the bottom story about how I really got kickstarted.
So it was just the injury and being failed by doctors led you into the gym, and then ultimately a career within the gym, kind of work in every position. Were these like traditional Globo gyms, or were you always in a coaching-based gym?
Every gym you can imagine.
Anyone that would
3 months bounce, 3 months bounce, every position I wanted to hit, because I knew eventually I wanted to open a spot. I got to a point I was working at a Retro Fitness, which everyone knows is franchised. And I was a personal training manager, and the owner who owned that specific location didn't know what the hell he was doing, and said, listen, I don't want to have a personal training department. He cut the department, said, just pay me rent. And I started paying him rent, running my business and starting it inside of that retro. I saw the writing on the wall though, and I knew he was going to go out of business. So I had $450 in my bank account. I didn't want to give up what I started. I said, F it, let's go open up a location. I got a business loan for my equipment totaling $36,000. People asked me how I forwarded all the build out and everything like that. Well, easy. I opened up 15 credit cards, personal and business, with 0% interest for a year, maxed every single one out, equivalent over to $250,000, built the place out myself, and said I have a year to pay off every single one of these credit cards. I'll be out of business from the APR.
That's crazy. So 15 credit cards, like back to back to back. How do you even do that without like them knowing there's like 15 credit pulls on your account?
Business and personal hit differently. So when the company started and was producing income already for 9 months, so I already filed the tax return, even though it was very minimal. It was easy to get a bunch of credit cards through there. And then personal, I had a perfect credit score. So it was also just kind of just said, okay, let's find all the ones that are 0% and see how many I can get.
And so you mentioned build out. So you found a location. Did it require like full gutting it out, building showers, like a pretty hands-on build, or was it something that was a little more plug and play where you could get started right away?
It was a tanning salon, 1,800 square feet in a shitty shopping center. And I just had to knock down some walls, lay some rubber down there, put some equipment in there, and called it a day.
Okay. So it wasn't like a situation where you had a year to figure it out and you wasted 6 months on the build.
Yeah, correct. And I got rolling, and then that was December 2018. We opened New Year's Eve of 2019. I will never forget this. I'm sitting down next to my wife. I said, honey, I did it. I paid off every single credit card. We're going to make it. We're going to be fine. I can start drawing a salary. And then for all of those that know New York and knows what happened 3 months later, the world shut down.
So you were able to pay off $250,000 in credit card debt in your first year operating?
Yeah.
And how did you do that? How? Yeah, let's not glance over that. So for people who don't know, like what type of training do you offer?
Yeah, we're all personal training. We used to try to be more of just a small studio, so basic gym membership classes, training. The more you get into business, the more important I realize it is to niche. To the point now, that's all we do is personal training.
And so how do you maybe back then might have been different, but let's go to present day. How are you packaging and pricing that?
Yeah, 90% of what we do is EFTs here. So it's through memberships. We have 45-minute options and hour-long options. Person pays for the session. They get the gym for free. We also offer no commitment in all of our memberships whatsoever. So they can come and go as long as they want. On top of that, we offer a 28-day unconditional money-back guarantee. So if they're not happy for any reason whatsoever, we fully refund the person.
And so what does a session look like in terms of your rates?
It varies depending on obviously the membership type, but just for a rough estimate, so everyone knows, you're looking at about $125 a session.
That would be like, you're on Long Island, which is expensive. I would assume that's like slightly above average, nothing like crazy.
No, that $125 is for 45 minutes.
Okay.
So we're charging roughly
you're
like $160 an hour. Yeah, we're premium. Okay. I've learned, I think the biggest mistake I made in my first year of business, which if I were to give advice to business owners and don't do what I did, is don't try to be cheap. Be the most expensive gym in your area. That is by far the most important thing. Less clients is more. You can cater to them more. You could help them more. You could put more into education. Rich people have less problems. Like, don't come in to this industry and try undercutting everyone. You're going to make it for 6 months and then you're going to be closing your doors because there's so many outside expenses you don't think of. It's going to be impossible to be profitable.
Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, Book a call at usekilo.com.
Okay, so now that people understand what it is you do, and that you're a premium service, let's go back and talk about that first year, because that's incredible. You were coming from that Globo gym, and how many members did you have when you opened the door?
10.
10. Okay, and so what did we do? What did we do to fill that thing up?
Yeah. So for those that don't know me at a personal level, I love sales. I think unlike most gym people who love the fitness side of it first, I love the sales side of it first. I thrived in my sales positions. Like for New York Sports Club, when I first worked there, I came on as a sales associate and I broke the Northeast record in my first month of working there. I absolutely love creating relationships with people. I think it all contributes to I am proof that fitness works and that can give you a better life. And people can see that from me being genuine. And I know I'm getting them in the right direction. So that's what helped. I to give you a little background of exactly how. Well, let's explain it. So my first session was 5 a.m. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to the gym by 4:30. I trained the morning crew till about 11. I went out marketing from 11 to 2, came back to the gym at 2 o'clock, trained till about 7 o'clock at night, went to Chamber of Commerce's meetings or anything other business networking meetings that are happening throughout the week, went to bed at 9 o'clock and rinsed and repeated that 7 days a week for 4 months straight until we were able to start hiring people.
Oh yeah, I mean that sounds exhausting now. Being 15 years into it, I'm like, oh, that makes me sound tired, but it always does when you're later. you're looking back. All right, so it sounds like you're keeping costs bone dry. You were doing everything you can to get people in the door. And it sounds like you were leaning into that sales. You were leaning into that sales thing, and what you're saying is so important, right? Like being, especially like I agree with everything you said so far. Like being premium is huge. It's a huge advantage, and then being comfortable selling and being confident in your service really allows you to have a huge edge and do crazy stuff like pay off $250,000 in credit card debt in 1 year. So you did mention staff there, and that's kind of one of the scarier parts of a personal training only model. It's very one-on-one, people dependent. Talk to me about hiring. So who was the first person you hired? Did you hire a trainer or did you hire someone to help you with admin?
I did it all the wrong way. So the wrong way was I hired independent contractors as trainers. I hired front desk staff. I hired people to run classes. I was trying to be something I was not, which was a big box gym. And even though we were doing it in a small personal field studio, I think it's important to talk about what happened next, because that will gear into advice. And then hopefully this helps people, especially those that live in New York. So after I paid off all those credit cards, 3 months later, March 16th, 2020, the Governor Cuomo came on and told us that we were no longer allowed to have a business. And we were forced to shut our doors. That's when hard got really hard. But I think it was a benefit in disguise. And what I mean by that was I cried, and I don't cry. I literally cried that night. I was like, this is it. I knew it was going to be longer than 2 weeks. And the next day I woke up and he said, you know what, Anthony, you got over your injury. You got over your suicide. Like, you can get over this. And I started talking to the gym owners, and they were all like shutting down their social media profiles. They were all ghosting. And I was like, we're not doing that. I'm going to work my ass off to be relevant. And I did drives for first responders. I drove to people's homes and dropped off goodie bags. We did sessions out in the park. And throughout all this time, we ended up being closed for about a year. And then it was another year of crazy restrictions. For those that don't remember what happened in New York, I found a guy, his name was Charlie. We don't talk anymore, but he was kind of the catalyst for me. Said he was going to sue the state to get us the right to open. And I said, I'm in. So I was the second in command. We raised $500,000. We went to go sue the state of New York to get the right to open. We ended up getting a court date scheduled. The day before evidence was due, Governor Cuomo came on because he was advised he was going to lose. And that's when he opened us up with restrictions, because he was advised that if he went to court with us the following day, he was going to lose. Disheartening. So then we had those crazy restrictions that made it impossible to make money. I was talking to Charlie. I was like, let's do it again. So we raised $500,000 again. Had to find a guinea pig gym up in Syracuse, said, you're going to be responsible for a class action lawsuit. And we, yet again, day before evidence, he came on the radio and then he fully opened us up. So nothing to do with him having goodwill opening us up. It had everything to us working our asses off all of those years to make sure we got our right to open. But what did happen throughout all that is I learned that the state doesn't give a shit about us because they have nothing to hold over our heads. As much as people love to say like trainers are great and everything like that, I totally agree, but it's the right type of trainer. In New York State, there's no regulations as far as like any Joe Schmo can say they're a personal trainer. And therefore, when you start working with clients and you start hurting them, it puts a damper in our industry and then people never want to go back to work with us. And I hated that. So throughout that 2 years on the backside of it, I created, with the help of some other people, a New York State apprenticeship program for trainers and got it approved through the Department of Labor. So now I can say that our staff is the only New York State approved apprenticeship, has the only New York State approved apprenticeship program through Department of Labor for our staff, which means I have the capability of giving them free college education. And I want to say, as anyone listening from New York, this is for all gym owners that live in the state of New York. You can all hop on that program. It's basically free. And then you can offer free college for your staff, which is a huge retention piece for trainers. And that's when I learned, like, for trainers, it sucks, man. Were you ever a trainer? I'm sure you were a trainer if you remember the days, like getting paid per session. And then you get a certain specific rate of it. A client cancels, you don't get paid. You're working your ass off to fill your schedule. And it's taunting. And then you end up only keeping the good salespeople that are trainers and not really the best trainers. And it's like, this sucks. Like, everyone's using this as a step over job. Everyone's like not understanding, like, training needs to be a career. It needs to be oriented one. So off the back of that apprenticeship program, I took a giant gamble. I didn't hire back any front desk staff, any class instructors. I just hired trainers. And I said, listen, instead of me paying someone $17 an hour, which is minimum wage here, to sit at the front desk and pick their nose and fall asleep, like, I'm going to double back that money on my trainers and give you guys salaries. And so no more paid per session, no more worrying about paying your mortgage, no more worrying that this is a step through job. I don't want to hear that this is, I'm going to become a marketer later in life. And this is like, no, training is your career and training can be your career. So I pay my trainers to date. They all start off at $50,000 a year as a salary, regardless of how booked they are. And they get commissions, they get bonuses, they get health, vision, dental, 401k matching, like all these extra incentive stuff. Plus we do weekly education. And now I get to pitch that they're the highest paid trainers in this entire region. And that's what, like, my Indeed ad does not stop with training. I get applications all the time. I no longer have a problem hiring people, and I can now be super picky in who I keep. And I'm starting to pull in right now all those independent trainers that don't want to do it on their own, but have a family. And they're like, I need to pay my family and I can't go work for a big box. So now I'm pulling the best of the best trainers and educating them even further. So it's just been a win-win catalyst driven, where I got to say I am the dumbest trainer on staff right now. And I fully mean that. And I love that. They're all smarter than me. So huge difference there.
And a lot of times they'll have like, if you're pulling from like a big box or something like that, they'll have a book of business that they bring over with them, which is never hurts, right?
Yeah, I honestly, like, just getting the quality is more important than even that. But yes, it does help. I have trainers that make almost $100,000 a year just training. Like, that's unheard of.
And what do you cap at in terms of
There's no cap.
sessions? Oh, they can work it like in terms of how many sessions is like,
yeah.
Do they work a week? And well, let's take a step back. How many trainers do you employ now?
20 between 2 locations.
All full-time.
All 18 full-time, 2 part-time, because we need floaters for coverage.
Okay, so we got 18 full-time trainers. In terms of what constitutes like a full-time client load, how many sessions per week is that?
Yeah, so double-sided question. So I treat this more like a job than I do like a training job. So what I mean by that is they have shifts. They clock in at 9, clock out at 5 kind of example. Obviously, those aren't the exact hours as the gym world, but I don't do split shifts either. I think that just kills your staff. So they'll, for example, a trainer will work from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. They come in irregardless of whether or not they have clients. They work irregardless of whether or not they have clients. So those that aren't as fully booked take care of all the operational stuff, like, or help with referrals or help with whatever. We assign them extra tasks to work on. So their workload is being balanced by both training and then both doing other stuff. And then we incentivize them. The more booked they get, the less of that operational stuff they have to do. And then the more booked they get, the more money they bring in, the more they make in their salary. So trainers can be doing anywhere from at a 40-hour work week. My top trainers are 80 to 85% booked, meaning out of the 40 hours, they're 80, 85% booked of those. So you're looking at roughly like 35 hours a week of training. Until my lower end ones, which are my newer hires, are somewhere around like 55, 60% booked. And then as they get more and more booked, then we hire new people. And they get more booked, then we hire new people. So it kind of works like that. It's a little different.
Got it. So every single person who is a trainer is doing non-training work, and that is the expectation. Correct. And how do you kind of, there's no shortage of stuff that needs to be done, obviously, but are you the person assigning that? If a person has a specific interest, are you kind of pushing them in a certain direction? Like, there's all the extra work that needs to be done. How is that divvied out?
Yeah, so it used to be all me, but not anymore. I really play more of an oversight role at this point. But I do have like a sales manager that helps get them, because they have referral requirements. They need to bring in one person every single month as a mandatory requirement. Theory being, you better be a good enough trainer that your clients are talking about you. And if your clients are talking about you, you should usually be able to get one a month. So they work on that, to how to talk to people. We practiced getting supplement sales. We practiced getting upgrades. On top of that, they have an operational checklist that they're responsible for, things like downtime playbook, we call it. So they have mandatory things they have to do. And then there's optional things they could pick up if they have more and more free time. So working on client win backs, or cleaning the bathrooms, or stocking the fridges, like whatever it may be, they have a checklist. They all check off and then send it in to group me. And we all work through that, and they coordinate with either the sales manager or the fitness manager.
That's awesome. And so, yeah, like 20 full-time or 18 full-time trainers, you're pushing pretty close, or you're over $1 million in payroll. So that's got to feel good, right?
Oh, we are. Payroll right now is projected for 850. So like we did, each payroll is like 41,000. It's 41,000 biweekly. So if you do that math, 41,000 times 26, that's what our payroll is right now.
And then you have all your benefits, right? Or is that inclusive of?
That's inclusive.
Yeah. So it puts you right under 1.1. So that's got to feel good. And sorry, we skipped ahead in this story because I'm just getting excited here. But you have a second location. You're across 2 locations now, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So let's get back. So we did $250,000 that we paid off. We paid off $250,000 of credit card debt in the first year. We get into COVID. Are you growing in COVID, or is your business shrinking throughout all this? And
I had nothing.
It was just dead. Just literally.
I'll make it worse. I had nothing. My wife was a nurse. She was supporting us. And then 2021, our lovely federal and state governments decided that those that don't get a COVID vaccine can no longer work. So they fired my wife because we didn't believe in getting it. And we made no money for 6 months. Like, we struggled feeding ourselves to like that extreme. We were extremely broke. And I owe my wife absolutely everything. And she knows that. Like, she picked up dead-end jobs, like minimum wage, just to make ends meet. I worked my ass off in the gym just to try to make a couple bucks here and there. And it was extremely tough through late 2020, all 2021. It got to the point we got married in 2022. We got a whole bunch of wedding money, and I couldn't meet payroll. So I took our wedding money and paid payroll with it. And then I had to cancel our honeymoon and reschedule it for 6 months later.
God, what a terrible time this was. Oh my goodness. That is insane. And so when did New York open up again? When could you actually conduct business?
So we were allowed to conduct business November, December, but I don't even count it because of 2020, because it was so restrictive. It was 6 feet apart. It was one person at a time. It was impossible.
Yeah. When was it business as usual again?
Late 2021.
Okay.
And
So
then 6 months later, they tried the audacity to tell us to put in the restrictions back in place. And
So
I'll never
year and a
fucking
half?
forget.
18 months of
Yeah,
just like
literally.
not
And
being
then
able to
they
do
came
your
back
job.
on the vax or mask and 6 feet apart. And I had a full staff meeting. I said with my staff, I was like, listen, I'm not going to make any decision about this without you guys, but I'll be transparent. If we follow this mandate, we're done. I can't make it. The other option, we say F you to the fucking state and we advertise we're not following it and hope to God we don't get shut down and that we make ends meet. And my staff at the time looked at each other and said, let's do it. So that's what we did. We advertised we weren't following restrictions and people flooded to us. It was the first big jump we had. And that was kind of the catalyst that pushed us forward. And since that moment, we've had a 50% year-on-year increase every single year since then.
Because it was just everyone was so fed up with COVID restrictions, and they identified with the messaging you were putting out in the world. That was more or less why that worked.
Yeah. It just, listen, I'm also going to tell someone they couldn't wear a mask, but don't tell me to do something that someone makes someone almost uncomfortable. And I know a lot of people feel the same, very similar sentiment. It was just, especially working out in a mask, so freaking unhealthy. But my staff backed it, and knowing that they were shoving on us was a $10,000 fine per incident. That's the risk we took. We took that. We took the gym that happened in Jersey and Atlas. They were being threatened with jail time. We all knew all this because I was involved in with a lot of people in the network, and we took the risk and we advertised it. So it's risk made everything. And then in 2021, around this same time frame when we were shit broke and barely fed ourselves. For those that don't know me, I'm a giant risk taker. So we got the economic disaster loan in the state of New York, right? Not the PPP. We got nothing on PPP because all my trainers are independent contractors and didn't qualify for it. So I literally got zero. And people were like, got the PPP money? I'm like, no, that never happened. But I got the economic disaster loan, equivalent to almost $500,000. I was talking to my wife and I was like, so our first location's in a shitty shopping center. And, I could do the practical thing. The practical thing would be use the money, pay off debt, feed us, keep us self-sufficient, and just let the first place rock. Or I could open up a second location. And she looked at me and she goes, I trust you. I was like, okay, we're opening up a second gym. I opened up my second location with that economic disaster loan with no money, no revenue, barely supporting ourselves. That second location within 6 months pulled in double the profit of the first location because it was in the right spot in an area I grew up with richer clientele and a nicer shopping center. It skyrocketed our business. Looking hindsight, if I didn't do that and I didn't come out against the mandates, I wouldn't be here today.
You would have made it. Yeah. You obviously learned stuff between the first and second location. What changes, you said you were familiar with the location, but knowing what you know now, what are you looking for in a location? So if you were coaching the younger you in terms of you're about to open your first location, what would you have told him?
Yeah, man, the higher the rent, the better.
Why is that? That's an interesting take.
Yeah, obviously there's extremes, but let me rephrase. So you go into a restaurant, right? Let's say you're walking into a diner. You have an idea based upon where that diner is located and how the employees are dressed, how the people that are dressed that are going in, and where you're going to spend a meal. Then you go into a 5-star restaurant and it's in a beautiful shopping center. Everyone's in professional attire. The floors are spotless. And then you have your price anchored into a different price off of that, right? So the same thing comes to the gym world. If I walk into a personal training studio, and it looks like someone's home, and it's just people training, and there's one or two, and it's like your typical personal training studio. You kind of expect the sessions to be a certain price. If I walk into a diamond shopping center and the gym is spotless and beautiful and high-end everything, I have a totally different price perception of what I'm going to spend and how much this place is going to cost. So it's your price anchoring in someone's mind because they make a decision within 3 seconds. And that decision starts when they pull into your shopping center. If they see potholes, if they see like the shopping center falling apart, like even though it's not your specific gym, it's going to be anchored differently. And that was a big mistake with my first location. I went cheap, and that gym did so bad all the time because we were next to a smoke shop. The whole place was falling apart. This year, I relocated that spot to a place double the size, and I invested $300,000 into building a beautiful, spotless location just across the street. And we went from we were averaging like $40,000 a month to now this location, that was April, or we're now in September, we're projected to do $80,000 this month.
You doubled in 6 months, less than 6 months.
Yeah. Just from moving across the street. What changed? Right? It's all a price anchor in people's mind. It's so much easier to sell a $700 a week program when someone walks in and the first words out of their mouth are, wow.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought that's one of the things that I'd say is like, if I was to do it again, I would have spent more money making the gyms nicer and look nicer. Because it's just like you're saying, if you want to be the most expensive, what your gym looks and feels like matters a lot.
Ambiance is everything. It's everything to the hotel industry. It's everything to the restaurant industry. Why isn't not the same in the gym industry?
It is. I mean, but I've never had the data to back it up. And so now you're that guy. I'm going to tell this story. So we've doubled. We're doing 80 in the first location. What is it? What is the mothership? Do you consider the Stony Brook one your larger one, the flagship, the one close to you?
So that's a smaller location. It's 1,700 square feet. Well, the new Mount Sinai one is almost 3,000. That one's doing like 85 right now. So between 85 and 90, depending on the month. Last year we did 1.2. It was the first time we ever broke $1 million. And then this year we're already past 1.2 year to date. We're right about 1.3. And we haven't hit our busier times yet, which is for us. Personal training is a little different than gyms. So like the gym industry gets busy in like January, we die in January. People hoorah, want to do it on their own. We need it when they want the accountability of a trainer. So for us, is October is huge for us. And then again in the spring, so you're looking like April, May. Those are our top 3 months revenue wise. And October is the busiest of all of them.
Right, because the back to school and all that. Everyone's feeling the pain of summer. Yeah. And so that's out of 1,700 square feet. You were doing, you said
8590.
Yeah. Out of 1,700 square feet. And so how many people can you train simultaneously, or do you even do that?
4.
I was going to say you have to.
Yeah, we're definitely capped as far as like how much people we can actually work with. But yet again, like I've raised my prices every single year. Like every January 1st, our sale is get in before prices go up. And they go up 15, 20% off the get-go.
Let's talk about that. So yeah, every single year you have a standard price increase, and you're saying you're raising them 15, 20% a year?
Easily. And sometimes I do micro raises throughout the year.
And will that be for everyone in the gym, or is that just for new clients?
Yeah, let's give a story here, because this is so, yet again, past mistakes I made that I don't want anyone else to make. I think I mentioned to you pre-show, and I think this is the most important part about being a gym owner, is be humble and learn. You know absolutely nothing, and just freaking accept it. And that's how I live my life. I just learn from everybody. I made a lot of freaking mistakes, but I think what's kept me in business is that I've learned to know that I'm dumb, so I can go learn from other people that have made it. So here's a giant mistake. Don't put in your contracts because you think it's a good idea that will never raise your rates.
Yep.
did that.
We just did a show on the biggest mistakes Mateo and I made as a gym owner. That was number 3 for us. So yes, I'm on the edge of my seat. You did that.
First 5 years, man, I had people paying such low rates. I want to throw up. And I think I just need to bite the bullet and hope to God they don't bring me to court off of like their rates, because I can't afford for them to pay what they're paying. They're paying some of them 70% less what the current clients are paying. Sick.
Yeah. So did you change the rates?
I'm going to be changing on our oldest members this January 1st. Yes. But that thing is no longer in our contract. So now all people coming in the last year and a half know that prices go up at any time. So,
all right. And then, so you have the legacy members, they were on some grandfathered rate, and you fixed that, or you are fixing that. And then does everybody else increase each year, or how does it work with the existing member base and how you approach price increases?
Yeah, we're going to be doing micro increases with them just to keep up with the rate of inflation. I think that's the better way to kind of treat you, because they're paying high enough. It's like we're not losing money off of them. So as long as it's 4% on current members, we're good.
And you'll just say January 1st?
Yeah, just January 1st, just easy.
Okay. Yeah, you brought up the churn rate. Sorry to interrupt. Tell me about the churn rate.
Yeah, churn for us over the last 4 years has been roughly like 4%, which is pretty good for this industry.
4% month over month?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And your area too, like New York, it's I don't know about Long Island specifically, but New York City was crazy how hard it was felt like half my member base moved every year.
Which is why it's so important to get the best of the best trainers, because they do the best of the best things, and they do those things that like go above and beyond for their clients. Talk to them after work, see how they're feeling, give them workouts while on vacation because they're being compensated enough to make them want to keep their clients happy. And then even as far as the gym standpoint, I was reading the other day, it's Ritz-Carlton, which everyone knows is like a high-end luxury hotel, has something where they have an employee allowance of $2,000 per employee, and they can use that for anything they want for customers. And whatever they feel is necessary to make the customers happy, they can use it for. We unofficially have always done that. So we'll send gifts if someone has a surgery or just gets married all the time. We're going to, starting the end of this year, we're going to officially have a system in place for that, where all of our employees do get a budget allowance to do those extra touch points to show that we're more than just trainers.
And what are some things that your trainers have used it for? Like you got any good examples?
Oh, my trainers, some of them are wild, but in a good way. I have a trainer that every time it snows goes to all his elderly clients and shovels them out. Like, it's not like this of an allowance thing, more that he just takes that extra step to go do that for them. And then we do as like get well gifts all the time. Any deaths or surgeries, we bought a bouquet of flowers for funerals that have totaled up to like $500. It really depends on like their relationship with their clients, but we always try to do more, like just always do more.
That is certainly, shoveling snow for your clients is certainly more. That is that is crazy. And we talked about the sales element. You feel like it's important. We talked about packaging and pricing. One of the things that we didn't necessarily touch on is marketing. Are you doing any type of formal marketing, like outside of just asking for referrals? What are you doing to get bodies in the door?
Ironically enough, before we hopped on the show, I was interviewing a director of marketing, because we don't have one and we need one now. We're at that point, we're big enough. We need someone to help with the marketing. It's getting too chaotic. But to go previous, I have absolutely no marketing experience. Everything for me was guerrilla marketing. That means showing up places, friends, family, on the ground, figuring it out, and word of mouth. That's how I grew this business to what it is today. We got to the point now we need more of an official marketing side point. We did start paid ads about a year and a half ago. We joined Gym Launch to learn the paid ad side of it. It helped a lot with understanding how marketing on the paid side works. We learned how to use Go High Level, which we never knew before. I'm a big Alex Hormozi fan, and I'm sure a lot of people that are in this world follow him. I think, yet again, like, just be humble with what you are and learn from people that have done it. You might not like everything he says and does, but the guy's successful. So I'm going to learn from him and take what I like out of it and make it my own thing. So I've read every single one of his books, listened to almost every single one of his podcasts, and I take that into my marketing now. So a lot of the stuff that he says and does, I do. I've learned enough out of paid ads. We're leaving Gym Launch in the next couple of weeks. Actually, I'm already phasing out of them because I can just do it on my own at this point. I've integrated AIs to help figure out how to write paid ads. I'm fully efficient and go high level. I have lead nurturers on staff that help us get book assessments. And then I have the best salesperson you could possibly ever ask for at a gym. Tying it again, it was the last thing I gave up, and that was last November. And I was forced to because I was having my first kid, and I took a giant gamble. That I had yet again, not making a lot of money. Sales guy comes in, says he's the VP of a big chain out in Nassau County that got bought up by LA Fitness, and LA didn't want to pay him what he was currently getting. And he told me, "Listen, I should be making like almost $200,000 a year." And I said, "Listen, if you can make me $200,000 a year, I'll pay you $200,000 a year." And I was 50-50 if this guy was going to do it. So I hired him at an 80,000 base plus bonuses that could equivalent well over 200K. I said, "Man, you hit these numbers, you're good. You don't hit these numbers, I'm firing you." He still works for me today and blows it out of the water every single month. His close rate's over 70%, which is equivalent to what mine was. So super proud. I just reiterate back into like, pay your staff. Like, it's so important to have good staff. Good staff is so hard to come by, and it's Hormozy's big thing. And I heard that and I was like, that's so true. Pay top 5% dollar, you'll get top 5% staff, and they'll give you 10 times the output.
And you got to charge premium prices to do that, or just play a volume game, which is much harder to do. Yeah,
volume game is not worth it, man. I just the longer I'm in business, the less clients I want, and then the less clients paying a higher price. And we're really like, we haven't gained much clients in the last 4 years. It's just how much our prices have jumped, right? So I don't want more staff, more problems. It's more of a headache dealing with people's personal stuff. It's hard to find good staff. Like 20 good trainers is hard. 50 good trainers is impossible in this local area. So I'd rather have less really good trainers that can really give people the sessions and quality they deserve.
And so, yeah, we didn't talk about overall client count. You know, we talked about some of the top line numbers you're doing, but that's across how many clients?
Yeah. So we vary around between like 300 and 350 clients between both locations.
So yeah, it's about like, what does it cap out at in the smaller location? Just so people have a context.
We haven't capped yet at either spot. Stony Brook's roughing around like 80% cap. Mount Sinai's not even close because it's a big gym. So we're nowhere near cap as far as like who we are and who we help. We do have about 35% of our business is billed through the state of New York for a special needs program. It's something we're really heavy into. We're the only gym in Suffolk County that I think does it. It's freaking awesome. They're amazing individuals, and it's like one of the best things about being a gym owner is working with that population. So that's a big part of it. It makes accounting a lot more difficult, but it's so worth having them involved. And then the other 65% is your typical clients all doing EFTs, all walks of life kind of phenomenon. So it's hard to give like exact numbers, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. And a lot of the exact numbers have to do with the special needs because it's so complex.
You've talked about taking advantage of a couple government things and making your way around the bureaucracy, which is hard to do as someone who operated in the state of New York. But there are these cool programs, and we talked about your apprenticeship program, and then this is called your OPWDD program, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Or that's where it comes from. And yeah. And then we also talked about, your voracious appetite for learning. When I asked you at the beginning of the show, what are you kind of better than most at? You said you just don't have an ego, and it sounds like you are hungry. Let's talk about that process. What do you do? Or if someone asks you like, hey, you went from, not being able to feed yourself to having this multi-million-dollar gym set up with, well-paid staff, and on the outside it sounds pretty good. Like, how are you approaching improving yourself and learning? That's the question.
Yeah, it's twofold. One, right? You mentioned and you put the numbers together in your head about my payroll, right? And one thing you might have realized is my margins suck, and that's intentional. I always invest back into the gym. I don't need a lot of money. I don't care for a lot of money. I just to be like transparent. If everyone's like, how much money do you make? I make $120,000 a year on a salary, paid for by the gym. I'm good, right? It's enough to like, I'm used to being so broke and living off $30,000 a year. 120 to me sounds like I'm living on freaking a huge plot of land and everyone's happy. So not wanting a lot and not needing expensive things and not caring about everything like that always gets me to invest more into my gym and keep hiring top tier talent so I can learn from them. I always try to hire people that are smarter than me in their specific industry. So my sales guy was a better salesperson than I was. I wanted someone better. My fitness manager is a better trainer than I was. And I want to pay and learn from them, whatever that may. And those are the most expensive people to learn from, right? You're paying someone $85,000 a year on a salary plus benefits, which is equivalent of the payroll tax over $100,000 a year you're giving them. That's a lot of money just to learn, right? For me to sit there and ask them questions, what they think we should do, what things they would change. On the flip side of it, I'm super transparent with every employee, every level. Every trainer knows how much money the gym makes, how much money I make, how much money like each other to an extent makes, because there are some legality laws, how much we can actually share in New York State. They know how much money they've brought in, how much money they've lost. It's all shared on a document. They can see all their names, exactly where they're at, and how they're rated in the company. It's transparency 101 across the board. I tell every new hire, which I started about 6 months ago, this is the hardest freaking job you're ever going to work in your entire life. I promise you that. But it will be the most rewarding because I want to learn from you and I want you to help contribute in our growth. On the flip side of that, I invest a lot of money into learning. I recently, Hormozi had a book launch for those that were on it a couple weeks ago for his new $100 million money model book. He had a $6,000 offer that if you bought 200 of his books, which I did, and I still have that code. If anyone wants the free book, I have the code for it. Just reach out. I'll give it to you. I don't care. I even put it in my public Facebook profile if there's still any left. But I bought it because he created an AI that loaded all of his information into it that you got access to. And then I can now have a direct conversation with him all day, every day. So I do that. And then he gave a whole bunch of other books that I read, studied, learned, and implemented inside of that. And now next year, I can't this year because we're having our second kid in January. But next year, I'm going to go out to Vegas, go to an acquisition.com workshop, and learn from that. My sales guy, he is the best of the best because he's exactly like me. We're like, this is what we believe in, constantly learning. His idol is in Hormozi. His idol is Andy Elliott. He's obsessed with him. He does all his like online podcasts. He reads all his books. So I'm sending him on my dime to Andy Elliott's workshop next year for him to go learn from him. Yet again, $5,000 investment plus hotels plus flights. It's going to be a lot of money to send this guy to go. But the skills he's going to learn is going to be irreplaceable, and then I can learn transparently through him and absorb that information. Like I learned I can't read from a hole in a wall because I just work so much. I fall asleep when I'm reading books, but I have a 30-minute drive every single day to and from work, sometimes twice a day. So I listen to podcasts all the time. That's it. Like I don't listen to music. When I'm really brain dead, it'll be a stupid podcast, but 99% of the time it's a business podcast. It's from all different people. It's learning, it's educating. Shows like this, like you can always learn. I'm not a fan of people who think they know it all. I'm not a fan of people who think that they're better than you. Like if there's gym owners that live in this local area that ask me like, hey, what advice do you have on this? And I give it to them. I don't care. I really don't care. Like if I can help you, great. That's great. I don't care. I want to make everyone more successful. There's no reason we shouldn't be in this to help each other. We have, and maybe this is what it's twofold. We're fighting an obesity epidemic. We're fighting a health crisis in this country. And I cannot beat this alone. It's impossible, right? I need multiple gym owners that actually care about individuals, unlike these big box gyms that don't give a shit about their clients. On the flip side of that, for me, and what our mission is, which our mission is to show people that fitness is medicine, is no one will listen to me until I have $1 billion company at the end of the day. No government official, no people will come to my advice. $1 million, $2 million is literally nothing. It's absolutely nothing. I'm dead broke according to everyone else out there. I'm not this like special fluffy person. I need $1 billion company to have start having serious conversations. And one thing, yet again, from Hormozy that I love is, you set how broke you are. And what I mean by this is, if your goal in life is to create $100 million company, and I only have a $2 million company, which is what I'm on pace for this year, that means every single year I lose $198 million a year. That's how much money I lose every single year because I don't know how to create, 98 million, not 198. I don't know how to create a $100 million company. If my aspiration's only $1 million company and I'm making 100,000, I'm only losing 900,000 a year. That's way less of a number than $98 million. If I want $1 billion company and I'm only making 20, like it's $998 million a year. I'm losing that. That hurts because I don't know how to do it.
And so let's talk about aspirations. You're at your second location. You're growing. You're not taking a ton of money out. You're reinvesting everything back into the business. What are we trying to do here? Are we gonna have 100 locations one day? What is the grand aspiration right now?
Yeah, there's two people. There's business owners and entrepreneurs. Business owners open a business to not have a boss, and they're happy running the location. There's entrepreneurs that want to change the world. That's me. I didn't open this business, and this is where I have a lot of issues with like parents, friends. They don't understand why I do things I do. They're like, oh, you just take more money for yourself. No, I put systems and processes in place because I want a global empire. Like that's the plan. The plan was never to come in here, have a gym, make a little money. It was to go global from day one. So I need to put all those pieces into place. On the flip side of that, in my personal life, I have a 2-year deadline, according to my wife, to get out of the state of New York and move to Florida. That's a hard deadline. So
come on down, buddy. I made the move. It's great.
Where in Florida are you?
I'm in Jupiter.
Oh, we're going to talk after show because that's where we're looking. So
for a lot of the same reasons, I would guess. But yes, we'll talk after the show. So 2-year deadline, you're moving to Florida.
I'm moving to Florida to the point in 2 weeks, we're going down to Florida and starting to scope out areas on the east coast of Florida between West Palm and Titusville. And I am not closing these businesses. It's not happening. So I need to make sure they're sufficient enough to run on their own. And I'm going to do whatever I do to have to make that happen. I'm already looking for their location on Long Island. I already started soft scoping. Yet again, wife having a kid in January. I plan on signing leases by January, February, which in New York takes forever to open places. So that will get me to like June to actually finally open. And then have 3 spots here, move to Florida, and just bounce back and forth while my family is in Florida to New York, and either open up a 4th one in New York or a 4th one in Florida, depending on how I feel about the area. So have Florida and New York, and then just meet right in the middle of the entire East Coast and just flood the area.
All right. Well, we're going to follow along in this journey. And if people want to reach out to you and, learn more about what you got going on, maybe ask you a question, where are you sending them?
Yeah, there's a bunch of places. I mean, I host a podcast just like you, but it's on health and fitness. So it's called Health and Fitness Redefined. And then on top of that, you can find me on social. My name's Anthony Eamon. You can look me up. I'm literally everywhere over Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, and the handle's Anthony Eamon Fitness. And the gym is Redefine Fitness, or it's www.redefine-fitness.com.
Awesome. And if you are looking to find us, you go to usekilo.com and you book a call. We can help you out with your website, your marketing automation, and hopefully get yourself a little gym management software. So when you are taking over the entire East Coast, your operations are a little more simplified on the back end. Gym owners, this has been great. Definitely one of the crazier, more interesting ones that I've been a part of. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of it. And if you did, be sure to share it with the gym owner in need. We will catch you next week. We love you, Gym World.